The Constitution of the United States is all about staying power. And nowhere can we find a better example of the Constitution's staying power than in Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution. The means by which an officer could be removed from his office was hotly debated during the Constitutional Convention. Many members present there felt that impeachment should be the sole means to remove any member from office at any time. However, James Madison, along with the prevailing majority, argued against this practice. Madison himself stood to argue against it in the well, saying that it was, quote, destructive of sound governmental practices. Because of this, during the first Constitutional Convention, the precedent was set for the later judicial and legislative interpretation of Article 2, Section 4 of our Constitution. The impeachable offenses were bribery, treason, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Treason was clearly defined in our United States Constitution. At the time of the convention, bribery was not defined in the Constitution, but was well defined through statutes. But there has been more controversy than probably could ever have been imagined by the framers of our Constitution over the words high crimes and misdemeanors. And these words would still be up in the air for many years to come. So with the question of who was subject to impeachment. While most historical and constitutional law experts agree that executive officers are certainly subject to impeachment, they also agree that military officers are not. The question of whether a member of Congress could be removed from office by impeachment was resolved in 1797, when Senator William Blount became the first and last member of Congress ever to face an impeachment trial. Prosecutors argued that Blount's status as a constitutional officer put him in the risk of impeachment and removal for office, a risk they say was justified by various sundry improper actions on Blount's part. But Senator Blount's defense argued that as a member of Congress, he was not subject to the impeachment outlined in Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution. A majority of senators agreed, and Blount was acquitted, setting another precedent. Now constitutional law experts agree that members of Congress are not subject to impeachment. The first presidential impeachment would come years later, and it was then, in the Johnson impeachment, that the words high crimes and misdemeanors and their meanings would be resolved. House managers argued that Johnson should be impeached for various improper actions, which did not amount to actual indictable offenses. But his defense stood with brilliant eloquence and argued that the indictable offenses were necessary for impeachment, that the words high crimes and misdemeanors referred to actual committable crimes. During the Constitutional Convention, James Madison stated that a president could be impeached for various commissions or omissions in office, but it is now regarded that these must be actual, committable, indictable crimes. Our Constitution is all about staying power. As long as there are politicians, we will have scandals and there will be more impeachments. But Article 2, Section 4 of our Constitution has stood the test. It has lasted through the Blount impeachment, the Johnson impeachment, the judicial impeachments of Judges Archibald and Ritter, and the latest so-called constitutional crises to affect our nation. Our Constitution's staying power depends on one thing, our involvement. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that our Constitution will continue to guide our nation as it has for the past 200 years, you and I must be involved. We must tell our elected representatives how we feel on issues, and we must take the opportunity to vote. Staying power depends on one thing, the American people. We must be involved in our government so that, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Thank you.